distinguished guests, esteemed members of academia, respected members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm and gracious good morning to you all.
On behalf of the Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice and its publisher, Blue Ocean Insights Research Center, we extend to you our heartfelt welcome to this official inauguration ceremony as we gather today to mark the launch of Volume 1, Issue 1.
It is a rare privilege to stand before an assembly of such distinguished scholars, practitioners, and champions of social justice. Your presence here this morning lends both dignity and depth of purpose to this occasion.
To start the proceedings of the today's gathering, let us rise for the national anthem.
Sri Lanka Mata, Abba Sri Lanka, Namo 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 Mata.
Thank you all. Traditional lighting of the oil lamp is a timeless symbol of our culture of dispelling the darkness and illumination of knowledge.
May I now respectfully invite the following distinguished guests to kindly proceed to the ceremonial lamp. To illuminate it together, as a gesture of the enlightenment, we seek to bring to marginalized voices to the pages of this journal. Senior Professor Premakumara D. Silva, Dr. Lars Henrik, Mr. Ruwan Samarakodi, Professor Sandun Senarath, Professor Saman Chandran Singha, Dr. Kusumalata Lanka Mulla, Professor ULTP Gunasekara, Dr. Madhava Dharmadasa, and Mr. Errol G. Smith.
I would also like to invite Professor Saman Fernando, Mrs. Tilini Mantri Nayaka, Mr. Gayan Ratnayaka, Mrs. Mihirani Disanayaka, Mrs. Satya Veerasurya, and Mr. Jnanananda Pereira to join us at the lamp. Together with our Editor-in-Chief, Ms. Hansani Pramudika, our Editor, Mr. Madhura Fernando, and our Coordinating Editor, Ms. Diniti Lakshani.
මාමුනි සරණින් ගෝන පූජල අධිපති දෙවියන් වහන්සේගේ ආඥාවෙන් ආනුභාවයෙන් කැකුළු පායුක කලල පියුමක රන් කොතෙන් මිදි කිරණ රණලද මෙරඟ මඩලේ විකුම් ලන්නට අවසර දෙන්නේ
today we stand at a threshold of something quietly extraordinary. In a world where so many voices remain unheard and so many stories remain untold, the Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice arrives as a deliberate, principled act of listening.
This morning is not merely the launch of an academic publication. It is the opening of a door through which scholarship, compassion, and courage may walk hand in hand in service of those whom society too often overlooks.
Over the course of this ceremony, we shall hear from some of the most distinguished minds in academia, banking, mental health, and public service, each of whom, in their own way, has devoted themselves to the pursuit of knowledge, integrity, and human dignity.
We thank you once again for gracing us with your presence, and we now invite you to journey with us through this morning's proceedings.
It is now my pleasant duty to introduce the individual whose vision has quite literally given birth to this journal. A scholar whose conviction that marginalized voices deserve rigorous, respectful academic attention has brought us all together this morning.
As editor-in-chief, she has steered the founding of journal with quiet determination, shaping its scope, its ethical foundations, and its long-term vision as an interdisciplinary, peer-reviewed platform dedicated to inclusivity, equity, and social justice.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming the editor-in-chief of the Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice, Ms. Hansani Pramudika, who will share with us the vision, the scope, and the future direction of this journal.
Everyone, a very warm good morning to everyone. Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Lars Henrik, and our distinguished keynote speaker, Senior Professor Premakumari De Silva, our respected guest of honor, Mr. Ruwan Samarakudi, distinguished academics, professionals, community leaders, researchers, students, media representatives, ladies and gentlemen. With great respect, I seek your kind permission to address this distinguished gathering. On behalf of Blue Ocean Insights Private Limited, the Blue Ocean Insights Research Center, and the Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice, it is my privilege to warmly welcome you all to the official inauguration of JMCSJ Volume 1, Issue 1. Dr. Lars Henrik, Senior Professor Premakumari De Silva, and Mr. Ruwan Samarakudi, your presence is a great honor to us. It brings dignity, encouragement, and significance of important occasion. I also wish to express my heartfelt gratitude to Professor Sadun Senarath, Professor Saman Chandra Anasinghe, and Dr. Kusumalata Lanka, who have been teachers to me in deepest sense of word. Your guidance has always given me strength during uncertain moments. Your words were like stars in a dark night, helping me to see the road ahead and giving me encourage to continue. I warmly welcome Professor Saman Fernando of Swinburne University of Technology, Mr. Errol G. Smith, and Professor ULTP Gunasekara, Madam, heads of government institutions, directors, and representatives of social service organizations, university lecturers, researchers, academics, students, media professionals, and all distinguished guests present today. I believe that the beauty of the day is determined by beauty of hearts gathered within it. Today, many beautiful hearts have come together here at Lavender Hall for the Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice. For your presence, encouragement, and goodwill, I'm deeply grateful. Many years ago, What we celebrate today existed only as an idea, a dream. Today, that dream has begun to take root in reality. Those roots have been nourished by effort, sacrifice, disappointment, and learning, courage, and perseverance. They have grown through success, failure, correction, and renewed commitment. That stands before us today is not a perfect finished product, but a meaningful beginning filled with hope, responsibility, and possibility. We are a small team, but we have never allowed our size to limit the scale of our ideas or commitment. Within a relatively short period, we were able to begin building a quality-oriented research ecosystem to establish the mechanisms needed to sustain it. During the past 4 to 5 months, we have achieved meaningful progress. As one of our first major initiatives, we organized a research methodology workshop series for more than 100 participants representing all 5 continents. These workshops addressed financial inclusion, mental well-being, health-related research, and artificial intelligence. This achievement was possible because the generous support of our resource person. Their knowledge, time, and commitment help strengthen the confidence and research capacity of many participants, and I remain deeply grateful to each of them. We also collaborated with Positive Science Economics France to conduct an international roundtable discussion, creating opportunities to meaningful academic and professional dialogue across countries. I'm proud to say that 28 reviewers from 12 countries are connected with JMCSJ, with 23 based outside Sri Lanka. Their expertise, careful evaluation, constructive criticisms, and voluntary service have played an essential role in strengthening the journal's academic quality. For Volume 1, Issue 1, we received 20 manuscripts from India, Sri Lanka, Canada, and United States of America. Following editorial assessments and peer review, revisions, and further quality evaluation, 10 manuscripts were selected for publication for Issue 1. We are grateful to every author who trusted us, this new journal, with their work and responded patiently to the editorial and reviewer recommendations. We are also delighted that manuscripts have already begun to arrive for Volume 1, Issue 2 as well, even before the formal call for papers. Today, we will officially announce the call for papers, Volume 1, Issue 2. We are also pleased to announce an international research conference planned for November in collaboration with Positive Science Economics France. Researchers will be invited to submit studies related to financial inclusion, inequality, social justice, marginalized communities, and sustainable development. These achievements were not created by one person. They are the results of our team, continuous effort, the guidance of our advisory board, and the dedicated contribution of our editorial board, reviewers, authors, coordinators, collaborators, organizations, and supporters. Our vision for JMCSJ is not simply to publish research articles, but to create a living space where knowledge can speak for communities where realities are too often overlooked. Our scope bring together different disciplines, countries, and perspectives to examine poverty, gender, inequality, caste, disability, aging, migration, health, education, workplace injustice, human rights, and other dimensions of marginalization. We want the research published through this journal to move beyond description and contribute in practical understanding. Responsible policy, institutional accountability, and meaningful social change. Looking ahead, our direction is to strengthen international partnerships, support emerging researchers, expand our author and reviewer communities, organize conferences and research programs, and increase the visibility of scholarship from underrepresented regions. To achieve the best possible outcome, we need the continued support of academics, professionals, and wider communities. We welcome meaningful scholarships, reviewer expertise, and institutional partnerships, sponsorship, and responsible resource support from those who share our commitment to inclusive research and social justice. At the heart of all this effort lies one guiding belief. Human strength should be invested for the benefit of humanity and for the sustainability of Earth. Knowledge reaches its highest value when it protects dignity, reduces suffering, widens opportunity, and serves future generations. That is the spirit in which the Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice begin its journey today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Pramadika, for those inspiring words, for reminding us that a journal is only as meaningful as the conviction behind it. And yours clearly runs deep.
It is now my distinct honor to introduce our keynote speaker this morning, a name that requires little introduction within the academic circles in Sri Lanka, and indeed well beyond its shores.
Senior Professor Premakumara D. Silva is the former Dean of the Faculty of Arts at the University of Colombo, where he has also served as Deputy Vice Chancellor and as Head of the Department of Sociology. Over more than 3 decades, he has shaped the discipline of sociology in Sri Lanka, serving as President of the Sociological Association of Sri Lanka and mentoring generations of scholars who now carry forward his legacy of rigorous, socially engaged research.
His scholarship has long been concerned with the intersections of culture, ethnicity, and social cohesion, themes that resonate profoundly with the very mission of this journal. It is only fitting that a mind so deeply attuned to the lived realities of communities across the island should deliver our keynote address.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a warm welcome to Senior Professor Premakumara D. Silva.
Good morning to all of you, distinguished members of the editorial board, senior academics, esteemed reviewers, researchers, practitioners, media personnel, students, and distinguished guests. It is a privilege, honor to stand before you today at the official launch of the Journal of Marginalized Community and Social Justice. I must begin by expressing my heartfelt gratitude to the Editor-in-Chief, Ms. Hansini Pramadika, for extending this gracious invitation and for her tireless leadership in bringing this vital initiative to fruition. When Hansini reached out to discuss the structural vision for this journal, it was immediately clear to me that this publication is driven by a profound understanding of contemporary social crisis. We gather here today to celebrate more than just the inception of a new academic publication, rather under the stewardship of Ms. Pramudika and the Blue Ocean Insight Research Center, we are witnessing the establishment of a long overdue intellectual sanctuary. The theme I have chosen for my reflection today captures the very essence of what this publication represents. So my talk actually will be based on bridging the margins, interdisciplinary scholarships, and the pursuits of epistemological justice. This journal arrived at a crucial juncture in global and regional history, a time when the fractures of social, cultural, and economic inequalities demand not just our attention, but fundamental restructuring of we produce, validate, and value knowledge. When we speak of social justice, we often frame it in terms of policy, legal framework, resource redistribution, and institutional reform. These are undoubtedly critical. However, true social justice begins far upstream. It begins with what we call epistemological justice. It concerns who has the right to speak, whose experiences are deemed worthy of academic inquiry, whose voices are preserved in the archives of human knowledge. Throughout my own decades of sociological and anthropological research, I have consistently argued that marginalized communities cannot be treated merely as the quote and unquote objects of research. For too long, vulnerable populations have been surveyed, quantified, catalogued, and analyzed through the external lenses, leaving their lived realities stripped of agency and context. We must confront historical realities. Anthropology in our region emerged out of a colonial project designed to categorize, divide, and manage local populations. Post-colonial sociology has long struggled to break free from these roots. Yet, even today, subaltern voices, I pick him from Ranajit Guha of one of the Indian great scholar. He was picked from Antonio Gramsci, the Italian sociologist. This idea of subaltern voices are too often filtered through Eurocentric academic standards that prize detach abstract modeling over lived realities. The launch of this journal represents the deliberate disruptions of that paradigm. It singles out a collective commitment to amplify understanding, voices, and transform research into a collaborative and respectful act of mutual knowledge production. To achieve this, our scholarship must be evolved. The challenges facing vulnerable populations are inherently multidimensional and stubbornly intersectional. These realities do not neatly confine themselves to the boundaries of a single academic department. They do not belong to exclusively to sociology or nor to economics, nor to public health, law, or psychology. We see this vivid crossroad of marginalization most accurately when we look at indigenous and heritage communities within our own borders. In my own ethnographic fieldwork with the Vedda community, I have observed how mainstream narrative persistently reduced their rich existence to a static tourist attraction or a tokenized heritage symbol. My research has sought to pierce off through this superficial facade to expose the multi-layered precarity they face. Consider the concrete structural violence of forced resettlement. When the state distinguished their ancestral forest sanctuaries as the Maduroya National Park in 1983, the Vedda people were effectively banned from their own hunting and gathering grounds without permits. These top-down impositions of environmental conservation and state-driven development completely serve their deep-rooted spiritual and physical connections to the forest. Stripped of their traditional subsistence, the community was relocated into governmental constructed villages or resettlements. This spatial alienation triggered severe socio-psychological fallout, manifestation in disproportionately high rates of alcoholism and mental illness. Crucially, my documentation of linguistic assimilation among the Vedda reveals that their original language is diminishing rapidly from generation to generation. Children are pushed into dominant schooling structures, and the native tongue is vulnerably becoming a lost heritage simply because it holds no monetary premium in the eyes of the state or tourist economics. This is exactly where the crisis of marginalization intersects with the necessity of an interdisciplinary lens. The vanishing of an indigenous language is not just a concern for linguists, it is a profound loss of indigenous knowledge systems, an economic struggle tied to land rights, a psychological trauma of displacement, and failure of social policy. When a community faces high rates of microfinance debt, restricted land access, and a lack of political representation, often missing entirely as a disaggregated groups in national census data, we cannot hope to fix it with a single specialized tool. This dynamic of structural exclusion extends beyond forest boundaries into the very heart of our cultural landscape. In my ethnographical work on sacred space like Sripad or Adams Peak, I have traced how pilgrimage centers that were historically pluralistic, multi-religious spaces shared by Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims and Christians have undergone a steadily reordering. Driven by majoritarian narratives, these spaces have been systematically reconstructed into a majoritarian ethnic territories. While the mountain's footprint holds diverse mytho-historical meanings for Tamil Hindus, Muslims and Catholic, the physical and symbolic management of the site has shifted towards exclusivity, marginalizing non-elite and minority practices who have worshipped there for centuries. Similarly, when we look at the regional rituals in southern Sri Lanka, such as the Balitoil or Gammaduwa, we observe a dual pressure of globalization and the commercialization. In my research on the transformation of these practices, I have documented how elaborate communal funded village rituals are being pulled into two opposite directions. On one hand, they are heavily personalized and shortened to fit fast-paced urban lifestyles. On the other hand, they are repackaged by cultural nationalism and state bodies into static spectaculars for schools, halls and exotic hotel performance for tourists. When a living healing ritual is reduced to a sanitized performance, stripped of its vulgar humor and local community roots, the traditional village practitioners are displaced. They are replaced by commercialized troops catering to an elite or foreign consumer base. Whether exploring the forest displacement of Madhuravaya or the reordering of Sripada or the commercialization of traditional community-based rituals, a singular realization emerges that post-colonial spaces are troubled with complex layers of exclusion. If we really solely on single discipline, our understanding remain severely fragmented. A purely economic analysis might capture poverty levels but miss the cultural erosion of community resilience. A legal analysis might evaluate statutory protections while ignoring the socio-cultural barriers that prevent marginalized population from asserting those rights. Therefore, conducting justice-oriented research demands distinct methodological and ethical humanity from all of us. It forces us to ask uncomfortable questions about our own positionality as researchers. How do we emerge with the marginalized groups without replicating extractive colonial methods? How do we ensure that our data collection does not merely document suffering, but uncovers mechanisms of resilience and sustainable community development? To the emerging Sri Lankan scholars in this audience today, I want to address you directly with the note of urgent encouragement. Our universities and research institutes are rich with brilliant young minds. Yet I know how daunting it can be to navigate the pressure of modern academia. You may feel tempted to stick to well-trodden, safe academic paths or to prioritizing global metrics over local realities. I urge you to resist that compulsion. Your country, your community, and your unique sociological landscape of Sri Lanka need your courage. Do not look at research as a passive exercise to secure a citation. View it as a tool for national and global transformation. Step out of your comfort zones. Embrace interdisciplinary boundaries and walk into the field with open minds and deep ethical commitments. This journal has been established precisely to give your generations a rigorous, respectful, and visible platform. We are passing taught to you. Your insight, your field observation, and your unfiltered dedications are what will truly dismantle systematic inequalities in the decades to come. Justice-oriented research must be rigorous, but its rigor should be defined by the clarity of its ethical framework, the transparency of its methods, and its ultimate utility of the community being studied. Our work must not begin and end within the pages of a journal volume. It must serve as a bridge that connects rigorous academic inquiry with active policy dialogue and actionable local solutions. The mandate of Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice is clear and deeply inspiring. To the editorial board and the review panels assembled here, all other distinguished gathering, your role is sacred. Peer review in a space like this is not a technical gatekeeping exercise. It is an act of collaborative mentorship that ensure published work, especially from our emerging scholars, remain deeply sensitive to the complex nuance of indigenous and marginalized realities. To the contributing to authors, I challenge you to push the boundaries of conventional methodologies. bringing your empirical data, your legal analysis, and your structural framework, but let them to grounded in the lived truth of those we study. Let your scholarship be evidence-based, rigorous, and committed to structural transformation. As we inaugurate Volume 1, Issue 1, let us resolve to make this journal a catalyst for real-world impact. May the knowledge generated here inform the advocates, brief, reshape policymakers' pen, inspire the practitioners' intervention, and most importantly, validate the dignity and sovereignty of those who have been pushed to the absolute margins of society. To conclude, I offer my warmest congratulations, Blue Ocean Insight, and the visionary leadership team behind this inaugural issue. As we embark on this collective journey, let us remember that our primary accountability belongs to those at the margins of our society. Our work here is not just merely about publishing academic papers, but about shifting paradigms, protecting human dignity, and changing lives. Let us step forward into this new scholarly chapter with a renowned sense of purpose, deep intellectual humility, and a fierce of determination to turn rigorous interdisciplinary research into actionable social justice. May the pages of this journal serve as an enduring beacon of hope and powerful catalyst for transformative change. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor De Silva, for a keynote address that has set most eloquently the intellectual tone of the morning ahead.
We now turn to our special guest this morning, a distinguished academic and researcher whose career reflects the discipline, precision, and rigor that the pursuit of knowledge in any field ultimately demands.
Professor Saman Fernando brings with him a long and distinguished record of scholarly contribution and international research collaboration, and we are honored that he has taken time to be with us as we mark this important milestone for this journal.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Professor Saman Fernando to the podium.
So where could I start? This is a huge area that I have been thinking about for a long time. And let me start with a little bit of my background. So I have been, I was born in Sri Lanka, obviously, and I studied at Ananda College. It looks like Ananda College students there. And then I did my first degree in mechanical engineering at University of Peradeniya, and I got a first class degree, and I got a scholarship from Canadian University, the University of British Columbia, and I completed the PhD in aerodynamics and thermodynamics, which is quite, different to the social sciences. And then, so my main discipline was problem solving. So I call myself a problem solver and not an academic, because I don't like to refer myself as an academic, because that actually removes you from the actual problem. So what I am doing here these days is to spend my time in rural, or what you call the marginalized communities. So I have been living in marginalized communities for 8 months in 2 different years. So this year 4 months, and last year 5 months I lived with marginalized communities. So the place I am staying nowadays, so my wife is not with me, and she is in Balaharuwa, which is about, I believe, about 40 kilometers of Tanamalville into inland. So she sent me a message just a few minutes ago. If I leave after, so if it is 1 o'clock before I start from here, don't come because there will be elephants on the road around 4 or 5 o'clock. So the place I am living at the moment is visited by elephants every night. So that's what I am saying. So now I have been thinking every night because I couldn't go to sleep because of the elephants. So what's wrong with this world? So what I found was, I'm sorry to say these things because I was called an academic, but I refuse to call myself an academic. Because what we are trying to do is, we are trying to change the effects, not the causes. And it's very easy to have a superficial picture on a problem and sort of in our mind create certain, logical representations. But that's far from reality. And so even in engineering, so I apologize because I am not at all know anything about social sciences. But I know a little bit about, my own humility and the other people's. So the word marginalized to me is a little bit not a nice word. Because when you say marginalized, immediately we run into the statistics, legal systems, all those words. That doesn't mean much for an individual in that community. So being with that community, I have found the opposite. So I sometimes think, now I coming from Australia, Melbourne, I am the marginalized, not them. So I went to I stayed with one house, one local residents, because they actually invited me to stay with them, and I have never seen them before. Now that would never happen in Australia or even in Colombo or in towns. So the first time they met, within 5 minutes to talking to them, they invited me to stay at their place at no cost. Right? But it's not a great place, but that's actually talking in the human sense. So then this is one story. I have so many stories I can tell you, but this is one story I will share. So they had a young boy who is year 10, and he comes home and look at what they have cooked in the kitchen, and he finds there is not much he like. So what he does is he serves some rice onto his plate, go to the next door, directly to the kitchen, directly to what they have cooked, and they bring something. Then if it is not adequate, he go to the next house and does the same thing. And then he comes back and he eats it. So we haven't eaten yet, and we are waiting for them to serve us. But as immediately after he come back, the people from those houses come to where we live with food, that because they know what we have cooked, and they say, sir and madam can have that food, so we will bring this one, and they give us a big meal which is prepared totally, without any preparation, any preparation as such. So this is actually what we are missing out, and I got tears in my eyes. I mean, this type of thing is totally not possible in anywhere else in the world, most of the places in the world. So that's why I say we have to rethink all these categorization, marginalization thing. To me, the marginalization is not in a society. marginalization happening in the human mind, individual human mind. So if you look at the school like say Ananda College, so many facilities, so many good teachers, but still there are some students who are marginalized. And if you come to Colombo, you can see really large palaces, big houses. At the same time, you see poor, beggars on the road. So you can see the marginalization there. So the marginalization is not related to the location. So one of the, I can show you some data, but this is not the occasion, but I am very happy to have honest discussion with we all. And the marginalization happens in human attitude and the way we look at problems and thinking. So at the moment it's very, because I have been approached by several NGOs when they heard that I am doing this, and the feeling I got was they are trying to earn money out of somebody else's poverty, and no one is really keen in removing the poverty, because then that will remove an opportunity for them to feel good about themselves. I'll give you a couple of examples. So some very loving people or very they think they are doing the right thing kind of people in Australia, they got together and sent 20 brand new computers to a rural school, 25th of September 2025. So we visited that school and looked at those computers, and out of the 20 computers, only 2 were working. All the others were not working, and the first task the principal asked me was whether I can see whether I can fix them. So then I looked at the computers. What I found was they are filled with dust, and all the the systems inside, all the cooling systems inside the computers, they were very expensive computers, were all not working because of the dust. So then I checked with the school whether there is an IT teacher in the school, and there was no IT teacher in the school. And there was no, appropriately made room in the school. So then, the people who think they are doing good, they spend such a lot of money, and has become the outcome is very minimal. I can't say zero, but very minimal. So such a waste of money. So that's the real problem. So unless when we are helping them, we need to really understand what we are helping them for, and without that, all this will be quite fruitless. I'll give you a very simple simile to end my story, because if I start talking, I can talk forever. So I don't want to do that. I give you just a thing. So there was a professor and a colleague walking on the shore, near the ocean, on the shore, and there were thousands and thousands of fish come to the shore due to some kind of tsunami, or I don't know, whatever, some environmental thing. And out of those thousands and thousands of fish, there were few live ones. So they were trying to solve this problem, how to help this happening, how to help these fish. So at that time there was a young man who was running and catching the fish who was even little bit live and throwing into the water. So he was doing that. And then the professor was saying, well, that stupid man, he was wasting his time, and he is just, trying to throw this. When can he finish, saving all these fish? So then the colleague said, well, we will ask him why he is doing that. Then he said, you must be not very smart because you are trying to solve this problem by catching one fish there. So he said, no, at the first glance I knew I can't solve this problem. So if I solve the problem for one fish, that is better than looking at it and theorizing it. End of my speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Fernando, for so generously sharing your time and your perspective with us this morning.
It is now my privilege to introduce our guest of honor.
Mr. Ruan Samarakudi currently serves as the Acting Chief Risk Officer of the Bank of Ceylon, the nation's largest commercial bank. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming our guest of honor, Mr. Ruan Samarakudi.
Good morning. Distinguished guest, member of the editorial team, academies, researchers, reviewers, authors, and ladies and gentlemen. It is a privilege and honor to join you today because I am not the researcher, not the academia. I am the professional banker. But you have invited me as a guest of honor. It's a privilege. At the inauguration of the first issue of the Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice, I would like to congratulate the journal, the Blue Ocean Insight Research Center, the editorial team, reviewers, authors, and everyone involved in bringing this important initiative to life. Launching a scholarly journal is not a simple undertaking. It requires vision, commitment, intellectual discipline, and a belief that knowledge can contribute to positive change. Today's event represents not just a publication of the journal, but the creation of a platform for dialogue, evidence, and understanding. One of the defining characteristics of a progressive society is its willingness to listen to voices that are often unheard. Many individuals and communities face barriers that limit access to opportunities, services, representation, and participation. While their experiences may not always be visible, their realities are significant and deserve thoughtful attention. Research plays a vital role in bringing these realities into public awareness. Good research helps us move beyond assumptions and opinions. It allows us to understand issues through evidence, data, and lived experience. It is through such understanding that better decisions can be made. As someone who have worked in areas relating to governance, risk management, institutional responsibility, and decision making, I have learned that successful leadership depends heavily on the quality of information available. Every important decision, whether in governance or business or academia, should be informed by evidence. Without research, decisions can be influenced by assumptions. Without evidence, priorities can be misplaced. Without understanding, even good intentions may not achieve the desired outcomes. This is why journals such as this are important. They help generate knowledge that can inform policy, strengthen institutions, and improve outcomes for communities. Today, organizations are expected to create value not only economically but also socially. Responsible leadership is not measured slowly by financial performance or operational success. It is also measured by how institutions treat people, how they manage risk, how they exercise accountability, and how they contribute to society. Governance is often misunderstood as a set of policies and procedures. It's in reality of governance is about responsibility and accountability. It is about ensuring that decisions are made ethically, transparent, and with consideration for those who may be affected by them. When organizations understand the needs of vulnerable and marginalized communities, they become better equipped to make decisions that are fair, inclusive, and sustainable. There is another dimension of social justice that is becoming increasingly important today is the financial inclusion. Access to financial services is often taken for granted. Yet for many individuals and communities, access to savings, credit, or digital payments and financial literacy remains limited. When people are excluded from the financial system, opportunities for their education, entrepreneurship, healthcare, housing, and economic advancement can become constrained. Financial inclusion is therefore not merely an economic objective, it is a social objective. It is about creating pathways that allow individuals and families to participate more fully in society and improve their quality of life. From a governance perspective, inclusion strengthens resilience. When communities have access to appropriate financial services and they are equipped with financial knowledge, they are often better their positions to manage uncertainty, and they can face the economic shocks. Recently we faced the Ditwa impact. How persons have resilience to that impact. So mainly about the knowledge, not other than other things. This is particularly relevant for many groups that are frequently discussed with the social justice discourse, including low income households, their personal living patterns, disabilities, women-led households, rural communities, aging population, and individuals facing various forms of social exclusion. Meaningful inclusion requires collaboration across sectors. Policymakers, financial institutions, regulators, researchers, educators, and community organizations all have important role to play in ensuring that financial systems are accessible, fair, responsible, and responsive to the need of the entire population of the country. In this respect, research is critically important. Evidence-based studies help us understand barriers to inclusion, evaluate interventions, and identify practical solutions that can create sustainable and equitable outcomes. Journals such as this can contribute significantly by encouraging scholarship that examines the relationship between social justice, economic participation, financial well-being, and inclusive development. I will give the real life example because I am not a researcher, but I have a real life example regarding how financial inclusion developed the society. Recently, government has introduced the Aswesuma program. We want to open an 600,000 accounts for marginalized people. They haven't at least identity card or address proofs. But this is a problem. How can we handle the problem? But we have provided the solution, get the support from the regulator as well as the policy maker. Finally, we provide some grace period to them, introduce their whatever the document they have, and we provide that solution to them. But not only that, at the day one, 600,000 people queued in our branches. But then we have got another solution to them. How they have get to the digitalization platform. We have issued free ATM cards entire population. Finally, we have solved the problem. No queues, no troublemakers come to inside the branches, because we know their education level and their perception trouble to other customers to our they will not come with that society. That's the issue. But we have successfully solved. That's how we address the marginalized society. The professor correctly said, this is the thinking pattern of our life. It's not any other thing. We can serve, we can think about them as a human. Then we can create the better world with that mindset. Academic journals occupy a unique position in society. They serve bridges between knowledge and action. They provide a forum where ideas can be challenged, evidence can be examined, and new perspectives can emerge. In a world incessantly influenced by rapid information flows, scholarly journals continue to provide something invaluable: credibility, rigor, and thoughtful analysis. The success of a journal is not determined merely by the number of papers published, but by the quality of the dialogue it generates and the positive impact of the society. I sincerely hope that this journal will become a respected platform that encourages meaningful research, interdisciplinary collaboration, and constructive engagement across sectors. To the researchers and authors contributing to this journal, I encourage you to continue pursuing work that is both academically rigorous and socially relevant. Research has the greatest impact when it helps solve real-world challenges. The best scholarship often emerges when intellectual curiosity is combined with the genuine commitment to improving lives. Your work has the potential to influence thinking, shape policies, strengthen institutions, and contribute to social progress. As JMCSJ commences its publication journey, I wish the journal every success in achieving its vision. May it become a trusted platform for knowledge, inclusion, and meaningful dialogue. May it encourage deeper understanding of the challenge faced by marginalized communities, and may it contribute to creating a more equitable, compassionate, and informed society. Congratulations once again to everyone involved in this important milestone. Thank you, and I wish JMCSJ a successful and impactful future. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Samarakodi, for words that remind us how the values of diligence and integrity transcend every field of endeavor.
We now arrive at a particularly meaningful introduction that our chief guest this morning, whose life's work sits at the very heart of what this journal seeks to champion: the dignity, well-being, and humanity of every individual, however society may choose to label them.
Dr. Lars Henrik is a psychologist with over 25 years of clinical experience spanning Belgium, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, Switzerland, South Africa, and now Sri Lanka. A member of Mensa International, his practice draws upon neuroscience, psychology, and a deeply personal, individualized philosophy of care. One built on the conviction that no two people, However, similar their struggles ever require quite the same path to healing.
In a world that so often marginalizes those who struggle silently with anxiety, addiction, and mental distress, Dr. Henrik's work stands as a quiet testament to compassion in action, a fitting spirit for the chief guest of this inaugural ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a very warm welcome to our chief guest, Dr. Lars Henrik.
Well, even though I'm a member of Mensa, I do the old-fashioned way when technology doesn't work. Let's try it first. As for you, Professor, a former speaker, I also had not that much time because I heard Wednesday evening that I had to do this, but I'll give it a try. Should work. Yeah, it works. Distinguished editor, Miss or Mrs. Anzini Pramutika, and personally also Mr. Madura Fernando, thank you for inviting me. Members of the editorial and advisory boards, esteemed academics, researchers, policymakers, distinguished guests, members of civil society, fellow professionals, students, ladies and gentlemen, and I wanted to say gender of choice. Good morning. It's both a privilege and a personal honor to stand before you today as we celebrate the official inauguration of the Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice. Allow me to begin by expressing my sincere congratulations to the editorial board, the reviewers, the advisory committee, the Blue Ocean Insight Research Center, and everyone whose dedication and vision have transformed an idea into what will undoubtedly become an important academic platform. Today, we're not merely launching another scholarly journal, we are inaugurating a commitment to scientific excellence, a commitment to ethical scholarship, a commitment to human dignity, and above all, a commitment to ensuring that those who have too often remained invisible within academic discourse are finally seen, heard, and understood. As Nelson Mandela reminded us, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. If I may respectfully add to that timeless reflection, I would say research is education in action, and ethical research becomes justice in action. The true measure of any society has often been described as how it treats its most vulnerable members. Although this idea has been attributed to several historical figures, its enduring truth transcends authorship. It challenges every generation, it challenges every government, it challenges every university, and it challenges every researcher. Because our greatest scientific achievements are not measured solely by citation indices, impact factors, or publication counts, they are measured by the lives they improve, the communities they empower, and the dignity they restore. This journal reminds us that scholarship is never an end in itself. Knowledge becomes meaningful only when it serves humanity. As psychologists, sociologists, educators, physicians, public health professionals, economists, legal scholars, and researchers, we know that marginalization is far more than a political or economic phenomenon. It's profoundly psychological. It affects how individuals perceive themselves, how they experience the world, how they relate to others, and ultimately how they change their own future. When people experience persistent discrimination because of ethnicity, disability, poverty, migration stages, gender, age, illness, or social identity, they are not simply excluded from opportunities. They often begin to internalize exclusion itself. Repeated experiences of rejection gradually shape identity. Self-esteem becomes fragile. Hope diminishes. Trust erodes. Belonging disappears. And without belonging, psychological well-being becomes increasingly difficult to sustain. Modern neuroscience has fundamentally transformed our understanding of this process. Social exclusion is not merely a metaphor. It is a measurable neurobiological reality. When a refugee loses not only a homeland, but also a sense of identity. When a child repeatedly experiences discrimination at school. When an elderly person slowly becomes socially invisible. When minority communities encounter systematic prejudice over generations. We are witnessing far more than unfortunate social circumstances. We are witnessing chronic activation of biological stress systems. These experiences influence emotional regulation, cognitive development, immune functioning, cardiovascular health, decision-making, and ultimately life expectancy itself. The pain of exclusion becomes biologically embedded. Recognizing this reality changes how we think about justice. Because inclusion is no longer simply a moral aspiration, it becomes a public health necessity. The World Health Organization consistently reminds us of what we know as social determinants of health. Housing insecurity becomes chronic stress. Educational inequality becomes reduced opportunity. Poverty becomes sustained psychological pressure. Discrimination becomes trauma, and exclusion becomes illness. If we truly wish to improve mental health, we must move beyond treating symptoms alone. We must also understand and, where possible, transform the system that creates suffering. The distinguished development psychologist Yuri Bronfenbrenner taught us through ecological systems theory that no individual develops in isolation. Every human life is shaped by interacting systems, families, schools, neighborhoods, communities, healthcare, economics, culture, politics. Each influences each other. Mental health, therefore, cannot be understood solely inside the consulting room. Neither can social justice be achieved by legislation alone. Healthy individuals require healthy families, healthy institutions, healthy communities, and societies that actively create opportunities for belonging. This is why psychological well-being and social justice are inseparable. There are different expressions of the same human aspiration, the aspiration to flourish. Throughout my own professional journey in psychology and neuroscience, one lesson has remained constantly. Behind every statistic stands a person. Behind every prevalence rate stands a family. Behind every diagnosis stands a human story. Data inform us. Stories transform us. Scientific excellence requires both. Without evidence, we risk sentimentality. Without humanity, we risk becoming disconnected from the very people our research intends to serve. The strongest science is rigorous enough to withstand criticism while remaining compassionate enough never to forget the individual behind the data. Nobel laureate Amartya Sen argued that justice should not be measured simply by the distribution of resources, but by people's capabilities, the genuine freedom to live lives they have reason to value. Professor Martha Nussbaum expanded this vision by placing dignity, agency, and human flourishing as the center of social development. Psychology beautifully complements this philosophical perspective, because mental health itself is a capability. Without emotional well-being, without hope, without safety, without belonging, many other freedoms become difficult, if not impossible, to realize. Justice, therefore, involves more than equal opportunity. It also requires creating the psychological condition in which people are genuinely able to participate, contribute, and thrive. One of the most important developments within modern psychology has been the emergence of trauma-informed practice. For decades, we often ask, what is wrong with this person? Today, we increasingly ask, what has happened to this person? That single shift changes everything. It changes healthcare, it changes education, it changes criminal justice, it changes public policy, and perhaps most importantly, it changes compassion. Behaviors that once appeared irrational often becomes understandable when viewed through the lens of the lived experience. Trauma does not merely affect memory. It shapes identity, relationships, decision-making, trust, and expectations of the future. Understanding this allows us to replace judgment with curiosity and punishment with support. It is one of the most significant paradigm shifts of contemporary psychological science. Yet, despite extraordinary adversity, human beings continue to demonstrate remarkable resilience. Modern resilience research reminds us that resilience is not simply an individual personality trait. It grows through secure relationships, supportive communities, purpose, meaning, hope, and belonging. Resilience is rarely built in isolation. It's cultivated through connection. The question, therefore, becomes not only how do we make individuals stronger, but also how we build societies in which resilience can flourish. If there's one lesson that the 21st century has taught us, is that the complex challenges facing humanity can no longer be understood through the lens of a single discipline. The issues addressed by this journal, marginalization, inequality, discrimination, mental health, social exclusion, community resilience, and justice, are not psychological issues alone, nor are they solely sociological, political, economic, or medical. They are profoundly interconnected. The reality calls for a new way of thinking, a way of thinking that is collaborative rather than competitive, interdisciplinary rather than isolated, integrative rather than fragmented. Psychologists bring an understanding of cognition, emotion, trauma, and behavior. Sociologists reveal the structures that shape communities and social inequality. Economists illuminate the relationship between opportunity and poverty. Medical professionals address the interaction between physical and mental health. Educators shape future generations. Legal scholars safeguard rights. Policymakers create a system within which people live. Community leaders contribute the lived wisdom that statistics alone can never fully capture. Each discipline sees only part of the picture. Together they begin to reveal the whole. Real progress begins not where disciplines compete, but where they meet. It is precisely here that I believe that JMCSJ can make an extraordinary contribution, not merely as a repository of knowledge, but as a meeting place for ideas, discipline, and cultures. Scientific excellence is never achieved by methodology alone. It is also defined by ethics. When working with vulnerable populations, ethical responsibility extends far beyond obtaining informed consent or securing institutional approval. Ethics begin with respect. Respect for culture, respect for lived experience, respect for language, respect for identity, respect for dignity. Researchers must remain humble enough to recognize that community possesses forms of knowledge that cannot always be captured by questionnaires, psychometric instruments, or statistical models. Numbers matter, but lived experience matter equally. Communities should never be treated merely as research subjects. They should become research partners. This philosophy is increasingly reflected in participatory and community-engaged research, where those most affected by social issues help shape the research questions, contribute by interpreting findings, and share in the benefits of the knowledge created. This is not simply good ethics, this is good science. Research becomes stronger when those who live it seeks to understand are recognized as co-creators of knowledge. This brings me to the unique responsibility carried by academic journals. A journal is far more than a collection of articles. Every editorial decision silently answers three important questions. Whose voices deserve to be heard? Which questions deserve to be investigated? And whose suffering becomes visible? Editorial choices therefore becomes ethical choices. Publication decisions become social decisions. Citation practices become justice practices. We can also stand at a remarkable moment in the history of science. Artificial intelligence is transforming research at an unprecedented pace. Machine learning can analyze data sets of unimaginable size. Natural language models can synthesize vast bodies of literature within seconds. Predictive analytics will increasingly inform healthcare, education, and public policy. These developments offer extraordinary opportunities, but they also demand extraordinary responsibility. Artificial intelligence can process information. It cannot experience compassion. It can identify patterns. It cannot replace moral judgment. It can generate hypotheses. It cannot determine human values. Technology should therefore never replace human wisdom. It should strengthen it. The future of research will belong to those who simply will not belong to those who simply use artificial intelligence. It will belong to those who combine technology innovation with ethical leadership, cultural humility, and scientific integrity. That, I believe, is one of the defining challenges of our generation. To the, for me, most interesting part of the people, that is the doctoral candidates, postgraduate students, and early career researchers joining us today, allow me to speak directly to you. You are not merely preparing dissertations. You are shaping the future of science. Never underestimate the influence of a single research question. Some of history's greatest discoveries began with someone asking a question that others considered unimportant. Do not be afraid to investigate neglected communities. Do not avoid difficult conversations. Do not allow publication trends alone to determine your research agenda. Ask questions that matter. Study the problems that others overlook. Listen to voices that history has ignored. Your most influential publication may never become your most highly cited, but it may change legislation. It may influence educational policy. It may improve mental health services. It may transform community practice. It may even save lives. The true impact of research cannot always be measured by numbers. Sometimes its greatest influence is found in lives quietly changed. As we look forward to the future, I believe the Journal of Marginalized Communication and Social Justice possesses tremendous potential. It can become more than a respected academic publication. It can become an international platform where researchers from different continents learn from each other. Throughout history, societies have often been judged by the moments they built. Perhaps future generations will judge us differently. Perhaps they will ask whether we built societies in which every person was seen, whether every child had the opportunity to flourish, whether every community was afforded dignity, whether our science served humanity. The measure of our success will not simply be the number of journals we publish, nor the number of conferences we organize, nor the grants we receive. It will be whether our knowledge reduced suffering, expanded opportunity, strengthened justice, and restored hope. Allow me to leave you with one final reflection. Every scientific paper begins with a question. Every meaningful social transformation also begins with a question. What if we listened more carefully? What if we collaborated more openly? What if we allowed evidence to guide policy rather than ideology? What if we placed dignity at the center of every research project? And what if every article published in this journal helped one forgotten community become visible? Allow me to conclude with the words of the physician and humanitarian Dr. Albert Schweitzer. The purpose of human life is to serve and to show compassion and the will to help others. In many ways, research is one of the highest forms of service. When conducted ethically, it illuminates truth. When shared openly, it empowers communities. When translated into action, it changes lives. May the Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice flourish for many decades to come. May it become a respected international voice for rigorous scholarship, ethical inquiry, and social transformation. And may it continue to remind us that every person, regardless of circumstances, possesses inherent dignity, immeasurable worth, and the right to belong. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Henry.
Distinguished guest, before we proceed to the formal unveiling of this journal, allow us a brief moment, not for ceremony, but for reflection.
Somewhere at this very moment, there is a child in state care who has never once been asked what she needs. There is an elderly man forgotten by the very family he raised, sitting alone in his memories. There is a young person quietly navigating in a world that refuses to see them as they truly are. There is a survivor carrying a story she has never felt safe enough to tell.
For too long, the voices of such individuals have existed at the margins of scholarship, spoken about, studied from a distance, but rarely truly heard. Their realities have too often been reduced to statistics, to footnotes, to policy briefs written far from where they actually live.
The Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice was conceived to change that quiet injustice. It exists to give rigorous, respectful academic voice to those who live at society's edges. The poor, unemployed, elderly, orphan children, persons with disabilities, those living with mental health conditions, incarcerated populations, and survivors of abuse.
It exists because dignity should never depend on visibility. Because justice, to be real, must reach the very people who are so often written out of the story. And because true scholarship must have the courage to walk into the spaces that comfort would rather avoid.
Today, the Volume 1, Issue 1 of the journal is no longer simply an idea. It becomes real. It becomes a permanent, public, peer-reviewed record, a place where the lived experiences of the marginalized are met not with pity, but with the same rigor, respect, and seriousness afforded to any field of human knowledge.
And so, it is with great emotion and with even great pride that we now invite our distinguished guests to join us for the official launch of this journal.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now formally announce the commencement of the journal, official launch of the Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice, Volume 1, Issue 1.
May I now invite our chief guest, Dr. Lars Henry, our keynote speaker, Senior Professor Premakumara D. Silva, our guest of honor, Mr. Ruan Samarakodi, our editor-in-chief, Ms. Hansini Pramudika, our editor, Mr. Madhura Fernando, and a representative of the Blue Ocean Insights Research Center to kindly join us at the launch area.
today I'm really excited to address this audience because this was a long-awaited endeavor. We have been working tirelessly to achieve this success, and today when I see this audience, actually I'm too excited. And now I officially announce the inauguration and the launch of our Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice. And now this is the platform is open for you all to submit your research and come up with new ideas and conduct community work and simultaneously make a big impact, meaningful impact on the society. And of course, you all have the opportunity and the platform. Now we are behind that work activities, and we maintain our scientific rigor, and we open up opportunities for everybody, and we don't make this just academic endeavor. We just make sure that it is practiced in the society. Thank you very much.
So apparently it's now officially declared as opened. I would like to say one more personal thing. This goes to Mr. Adoro Fernando. May this journal develop as much as he did, because we know each other for a little bit longer, and I have great respect for the place and the things that are achieved together, of course. But if they grow as much as he has done, then I see a bright future. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now official. The Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice has been launched.
We now invite the presentation of the inaugural printed copies of the journal as a keepsake of this historic moment. So now I would like to cordially invite Dr. Lars Henrik, our chief guest, the Senior Professor Premakumara De Silva, Professor Saman Fernando, Professor L.T.P. Gunasekara, Mr. Ruan Samarakkodi, Professor Sadun Senarath, and Professor Saman Chandra Ranasinghe to accept the printed copies. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to invite the respected dignitaries to come to the stage to take a photograph with the printed copy. We now invite you to join with us in reading a short pre-recorded compilation of goodwill messages, words of encouragement and support sent to us from the members of the international academic and professional community, who, though unable to join with us in person today, remain with us in their spirit.
Hello everyone, my name is Dr. and I'm the son of Professor I'm very happy to thank you for this honor of organizing and social justice and integration. The journal has an important mission to be a great facility to communities and research that are too often overlooked. Our research on a strong role in international recognition and many relevant publications. Congratulations to the entire team and best wishes for the future.
Distinguished guests and fellow researchers, we all at this moment thinking that we are missing out something due to some reason. Yes, we refer it, but we all have been marginalized. Looking after marginalized communities is not something new. However, there are many communities which are overlooked. There are many labels that are overlooked. The Journal for Marginalized Communities and Social Justice have stepped up to fill this gap. The journal gathers almost all the domain experts to work on marginalized communities. It's an open invitation. Blue Ocean Insights helps this for all the researchers and people in the world to make an impact for the humanity while honing their research skills. I wish all the very best to Blue Ocean Insights in this endeavor. I'm looking forward to see all the success. Thank you. Enjoy the event.
Hello everyone, I'm Jordan, a friend and supporter of JMCSJ, joining from Canada. I would like to extend heartfelt congratulations in the official inauguration of the Journal of Marginalized Community and Social Justice. It is truly exciting to see a platform dedicated to amplify the voices of marginalized communities and promoting research that can create meaningful social impact. I would like to personally acknowledge Rajan and Hans. I will see their passion, dedication and hard work in both of the invested in building this journal of practice. I know this milestone is the result of countless hours of hard work and perseverance. I wish the entire team, researchers, authors and partners every success as journal completes. Congratulations once again and wish you all the very best for the future. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Julia Raven, a reviewer and contributor for the Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice. Congratulations on the journal's official inauguration. I am honored to support its mission of amplifying marginalized voices and advancing socially responsive research. I wish the JMCSJ continued growth and meaningful impact.
On behalf of the journal and its entire editorial family, we extend our sincere gratitude to every colleague, mentor, and well-wisher across the globe who took the time to share in this moment with us, even from a distance.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let us continue with the movement reserved for recognizing excellence, the presentation of our awards.
Behind every successful academic journal lies the quiet, painstaking labor of researchers whose works exemplify scholarly excellence. It is now our honor to recognize one such contribution.
I now invite Professor Saman Chandra Ranasinghe to the stage to present the journal's Best Research Paper Award.
This year's Best Research Paper Award is presented to Dr. Jnaneshwar Prakash Jadavar and Mr. Dr. Madhavi Reddy in recognition of their article Marginalization Through Migration, Hysterectomy, Gendered Labor and the Lived Experiences of Women Sugarcane Workers in Maharashtra, India.
And as our award-winning authors are unable to be with us in person today, we invite Mrs. Hiranya Disanayaka to kindly receive this award on their behalf. Thank you, Professor, for joining with us.
Our heartfelt congratulations to Dr. Jadavar and Dr. Reddy. May this recognition carry their important work to even wider audiences.
No journal comes into being through the effort of any single individual. It is built quietly and diligently by the hands of many. Our authors, our resource persons, and our organizing committee.
We now turn to a series of presentation to express our sincere and heartfelt appreciation to those who have given so generously of their time and expertise.
I now invite Professor ULTP Gunasekara to the stage to present the certificates to our contributing authors.
To receive their author certificates, may I invite Ms. Dinati Lakshani and Mr. Nayanashan Chandrasiri.
Professor, for joining with us doing the honors. So now we have the winner of the Best Researcher Award with us online. So let us take a moment in listening to his thoughts.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Respected Editor-in-Chief, distinguished guests, fellow researchers, and everyone who are present here. It is a great honor for me to receive this Best Paper Award from the Journal of Marginalized Community and Social Justice. I sincerely thank the Editor-in-Chief, the editorial board, the viewers, and the entire JMCSJ team for this recognition. I also thank my co-author Dr. Madhuri Reddy for her guidance and support throughout this research. Our paper is titled Marginalization through Migration, History, Gender Labor, and Life Experience of Women Sugarcane Workers in Maharashtra, India. This research is very close to my heart because I come from sugarcane workers' family. Since childhood, I have seen the hardship faced by sugarcane workers. I have watched families migrate every year in search of work, live in temporary shelters, and struggle with poor working and living conditions. This experience inspired me to study this issue and bring their voices into academic research. To understand these realities better, I visited different sugarcane growing districts in Maharashtra. I spent time with migrant women workers and conducted interviews with women, doctors, ASHA workers, and labor contractors. Listening to their experiences helped me understand the challenges they face every day. One of the most important findings of our study is that racism is not only a medical issue, it is also a social and economic issue. Many women work long hours under difficult conditions with little access to healthcare, sanitation, or rest. Because their income depends on daily work, they cannot afford to take leave during the harvesting season. Many women told us they underwent hysterectomy because they believed it would help them continue to work. However, after the surgery, many experience weakness, body pain, and other long-term health problems without proper medical support. We also found that seasonal migration affects the entire community. Children often miss school, families live in temporary shelters, and women carry the responsibility of both earning and income and caring for their families. This research is not just about the collection data, it is about giving a voice to women whose struggles are often unheard. I dedicate this award to all the women who trusted me and shared their life stories. I hope our research helps create better healthcare services, stronger labor rights, and more supportive policies for migrant women workers. Finally, I once again thank JMCs for this wonderful honor. Receiving this award in this inaugural issue of the journal is a proud and memorable moment for us. I congratulate the editorial team also on this important achievement and wish JMC's continued success in promoting research that contribute to social justice. Thank you very much. Because of the consent, we didn't come here, but you have given the opportunity to attend this online. Thank you very much.
Our heartfelt congratulations, sir. Thank you for taking time to making this moment very precious. Thank you again.
I now invite Dr. Kusumalata Lankamulla to the stage to present the certificates to our dedicated reviewers.
This is my brother.
This journal exists today because of your quiet, often unseen dedication. Thank you, everyone.
And now, a final gesture of gratitude, reserved for those whose presence has led this distinction to this morning's proceedings.
I now invite our editor-in-chief, Ms. Hansini Pramdika, and our editor, Mr. Madhura Fernando, to the stage to present commemorative plaques to our esteemed guest.
May I invite Senior Professor Premakumara De Silva, Dr. Lars Henrik,
May these appreciations serve as a lasting reminder of mourning that meant a great deal to all of us.
As our ceremony draws to its close, it falls upon us to extend our collective gratitude to all who have made this morning possible.
Before we do, allow us a moment to recognize a name that has stood quietly behind nearly every page of this journal.
From its earliest, most uncertain beginnings, through countless rounds of review, revision, and refinement, Mr. Madhura Fernando has served as the editor of the JMCSJ with rare combination of editorial precision and genuine care for the communities this journal exists to serve. His tireless commitment, often unseen, has been instrumental in shaping this publication into the rigorous and meaningful platform it is today.
It is only fitting that the words which bring our ceremony to its close should come from him. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our editor, Mr. Madhura Fernando, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Distinguished guests, respected academics, professionals, community leaders, authors, reviewers, students, media representatives, ladies and gentlemen. As we conclude this memorable occasion, it is my privilege to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of the Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice. Our deepest gratitude goes to our chief guest, Dr. Lars Henrik, whose presence and insights as a psychologist added great meaning to this ceremony. We sincerely thank our guest of honor, Mr. Ruwan Manjula Samarakodi, Chief Risk Officer of the Bank of Ceylon, for his encouragement, leadership, and distinguished presence. Our heartfelt appreciation is extended to our keynote speaker, Senior Professor D.A. Premakumara De Silva, Professor and Chair of the Department of Sociology at the University of Colombo, and a member of the governing board of the National Science Foundation of Sri Lanka. Your address strengthened the scholarly significance of this inauguration. And we warmly thank our special guest speaker, Professor Saman Fernando of Swinburne University of Technology, together with Mrs. Dhammika Fernando, for demonstrating through practical engagement how social justice can be transformed into compassionate action. We also sincerely thank Professor Saman Chandra Ranasinghe, Professor ULTD Gunasekara, Dr. Kusumalata Lankamulla, and Professor Sadun Senarath for their guidance, encouragement, and inspiring thoughts. And our appreciation goes to the principal of Ferguson High School, Ratnapura, principal of Ananda College, Colombo, the principal of Methodist College, Ravatawatta, and all professors, doctors, lecturers, researchers, doctoral candidates, undergraduates, and postgraduate students representing state and private universities. We thank all social workers, community leaders, legal professionals, representatives of the Lawyers Association, civil society representatives, and heads of organizations serving marginalized communities. And our sincere appreciation also goes to the media community, particularly Mr. Nyanananda Pereira and Mr. Chaminda Gunaratne, together with all journalists, broadcasters, photographers, videographers, and media representatives. Our profound gratitude goes to Ms. Hansini Pramudika, the Editor-in-Chief of JMCSJ, for her outstanding leadership, vision, courage, and determination. We also offer heartfelt thanks to Ms. Diniti Lakshani Tilakasiri, Coordinating Editor, for her patience, remarkable balancing act, careful coordination, and tireless service. We warmly acknowledge our editorial board members, Dr. Dileepa Fernandu, Ms. Hiranya Disanayaka, Dr. Kusumalata Lankamulla, and Professor Oshadi Dona Dasanayaka. We also thank our advisory board members, Professor W.T.P.S.K. Senarath, Dr. Sivakumar M. Maniam, Mr. Paul William Jayaselvan Sundaram Pillai, and Dr. Valentina Telensko, and Ms. Vavinya Makai. Special appreciation goes to Mr. Jagan Shanmugaraja, the co-founder of Student Port Singapore, for building a mutually meaningful relationship with JMCSJ and strengthening its international connections. We thank all reviewers and authors and warmly congratulate Dr. Dhyaneshwar Prakash and Dr. Madhavi Reddy, the recipients of the Best Research Paper Recognition. We also thank Mrs. Hiranya Disanayaka for receiving the award on their behalf. And we sincerely thank the organizing committee, Mr. S. Nainashan Chandrasiri, Mr. M.C.K. Visal Pereira, Ms. D. Dinelka Darshani, Mr. R.T.W. Tennakon, Ms. M.H.N. Pereira, Mr. W.G.M. Ratnasiri, Ms. K.L. Ruvini Himaka Piyasena. Your teamwork and dedication made this ceremony possible. And I take this opportunity to thank BMICH staff and Mount Lavender Hotel staff and everyone who worked behind the scenes. We also extend special appreciation to Mrs. Satya Veera Surya and Mr. Kasun Nayanajit for their valued support and contribution. Finally, we thank our parents, siblings, family members, relatives, and friends for their patience, sacrifice, understanding, and constant encouragement. Before I conclude, I would like to share a personal reflection. At a moment when I was unable to complete an important task, I must thank Musna and Traveen Miranda for conducting their announcement throughout the event. You have done a great job, and we hope two of you will join us, and for future events as well. If you join us, we'll be happy. We are pleased to welcome you. And before I conclude, I would like to share a personal reflection. At a moment when I was unable to complete an important task, the words Proxima Centauri unexpectedly came to my mind. Proxima Centauri is the nearest known star to the Sun. The Sun gives light and heat, lifts water from the ocean through evaporation, forms clouds, and returns that water as rain. The rain nourishes crops, fills rivers, provides drinking water, and sustains life. The word century also led me to think symbolically about the century and the dual nature of the human being. Instinct and reason, emotion and intellect, freedom and discipline. The goal is not to eliminate one side, but to balance and guide both. When instinct is directed by reason, freedom by responsibility, and emotion by wisdom, human strength can be channeled towards meaningful service. Delivering this vote of thanks presents a similar task. Within a short period, I must acknowledge a large community whose contributions are different yet equally meaningful. Like Proxima Centauri moving symbolically closer to the Sun, I have tried to come as close as possible to expressing the gratitude each of you deserves, while recognizing that no speech can fully equal the value of all you have contributed. An author offers an idea, a reviewer refines it, an editor guides it, a teacher passes it forward, a psychologist brings healing, a social worker serves, a lawyer protects, a journalist carries overlooked realities into public awareness, and a partner builds bridges through collaborations. Together, you create the rain that nourishes society. Even if time has not allowed me to mention every individual by name, please know that every contribution is sincerely remembered and deeply appreciated. This achievement belongs to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fernando, for those gracious words of appreciation.
And this brings to the conclusion of our today's formal proceedings.
On behalf of the Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice and the Blue Ocean Insight Research Center, we thank you most sincerely for honoring us with your presence, your attention, and your unwavering commitment to the causes this journal how carry forwards.
And please do take a moment to remain with us to take a group photograph and also for the refreshment session that follows. So once again, thank you all for joining with us and have a nice day.